Alan Wake, once renowned writer, now finds himself trapped in the depth of despair, unable to conjure up his once celebrated masterpieces. In a desperate attempt to heal his wounded soul, he seeks solace in the tranquil town of Bright Falls, accompanied by his loving wife, who hopes that the serenity of their new surroundings will reignite his creative spark. With the purchase of their new home complete, the only task remains is to collect the keys from the owner. However, a sense of unease lingers within Alan as he receives the keys from an elderly lady, claiming that the owner himself had sent her to deliver them. The keys unlock a charming cottage nestled by the enigmatic Lake Cauldron. Yet, this idyllic plan is marred by the lake's ominous reputation. As evening falls, Alice, Alan's wife, presents him with a typewriter, believing that it will serve as a catalyst for his inspiration. Unexpectedly, Alan's anger flares, causing him to storm out of the house. In his haste, he stumbles and comes to a sudden halt. Regaining his composure, Alan notices the lights in the house flicker and fade. A chill runs down his spine, for he knows that Alice would never extinguish the light. Suddenly, a harrowing scream pierces the air, shattering the tranquility of the night. Alan's heart races as he witnesses his beloved wife being dragged from the balcony into the abyss of the dark waters below. Driven by love and desperation, Alan plunges into the depth after her, only to lose consciousness. When he finally awakens, a week has passed, and he finds himself trapped in the confines of his car, teetering on the edge of an unfathomable abyss. In the distance, a gas station beacons, but a treacherous void separates him from his destination. Summoning every ounce of courage, Alan navigates the perilous terrain and stumbles upon a manuscript, a creation of his own, yet one he has no recollection of writing. To his horror, he soon discovers that he is not alone. Sinister creatures, hell-bent on his demise, relentlessly pursue him. Adding to his torment, the gas station's owner, Carl Stuckey, becomes a relentless pursuer as well. In a desperate bid for survival, Alan is forced to confront Stuckey, ultimately ending his torment. With a glimmer of hope, Alan reaches the gas station and contacts the police, seeking refuge from the night. Sheriff Sarah Breaker makes her grand entrance, ready to tackle any challenge that comes her way. With determination in her eyes, she swiftly escorts him back to his humble abode. However, as they approach the spot where his cozy house once stood, a surprising sight awaits them. Instead of solid ground, gentle waves of water now playfully splash around. Perplexed, Sheriff Breaker turns to him and calmly states, "You know, it's been quite a while since this island disappeared. A whole 3 decades have passed, to be exact." While being interrogated by Sarah Breaker, Alan remains silent, fearing that if he speaks, she'll dismiss his words as sheer madness. However, just as the tension reaches its peak, a phone call interrupts the room, and a mysterious voice identifies himself as Alice's kidnapper. Astonishingly, he arranges a meeting with Alan at Lover's Peak, under the moonlight sky at midnight. What's peculiar is that he doesn't demand anything in return for Alice. Skepticism fills Alan's mind, but the kidnapper, in a twisted attempt to convince him, places Alice's driver's license inside a broken-down truck in the backyard of the location. As the events unfold, psychiatrist Dr. Emil Hartman unexpectedly arrives at the station. Alan's anger boils over, for he knows that Alice and Hartman have been discussing him behind his back. In a fit of rage, Alan unleashes his fury upon Hartman, breaking his nose. Surprisingly, Emil doesn't hold a grudge against Alan and even extends an offer to live in his hospital. In the midst of this chaos, Wake's loyal literary agent and best friend Barry Wheeler makes an entrance. Together, they embark on a journey to the tourist center, where they encounter the friendly waitress Rose Marigold and a vigilant ranger Rusty. Rusty ensures their safety by arranging a stay for Alan and Barry in a cozy cottage for a few days. Meanwhile, Wake ventures alone towards Lower's Peak. However, fate takes a dark turn as Alan witnesses the tourist center being ravaged by a colossal black tornado known as the Dark Entity. In the blink of an eye, the center vanishes, leaving Alan bewildered. Determined to find answers, he rushes towards the ruins only to discover Rusty on the brink of death. Desperate for light, Rusty pleads with Alan to activate the generator, but as he waits, an eerie transformation takes hold of him, turning him into a vessel of darkness. In a heart-wrenching act of self-defense, Alan is forced to end Rusty's life. Navigating through the forest teeming with possessed individuals, Alan stumbles upon a cable car, his only hope for escape. Yet, just as he boards, the cable car malfunctions, plummeting towards the edge of the forest. Trapped and surrounded by the possessed, Alan's fate seems sealed until a mysterious figure emerges, eliminating the threat. Alan deduces that this enigmatic savior must be the kidnapper. They finally arrive at Lover's Peak, the site filled with anticipation and excitement. However, their conversations quickly falter as they are both burdened with the need to defend their positions in court. The tension builds up until the final onslaught, when the possessed beings finally subside. Alan, consumed by anger, discovers that Mott, the kidnapper whose identity was revealed in one of the manuscripts, has deceived him. In a fit of rage, Mott demands a ransom, every single page of the manuscript. Without hesitation, Alan delivers a powerful punch to Mott, causing them both to tumble to the ground. As Mott flees, his gun slips from his grasp, leaving it behind as evidence of his cowardice. Determined, Wake fights his way back to the cottage, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. On their journey, Mott reaches out to Alan and arranges a meeting at a secluded, abandoned miner's place in 2 days' time. When Alan finally arrives at the cottage, an eerie sight awaits him. A swarm of hundreds of crows encircle the area. Alan valiantly fends off the birds, while Barry, having secured all possible entrances, allows Alan to come inside. The next morning, Alan attempts to embark on a fresh manuscript, but his efforts prove futile. In a panic, Barry contacts Rose Marigold and informs her that the entire manuscript has been discovered. Unbeknownst to them, the skull sets a dangerous trap in motion. Barry and Alan make their way to the trailer park where Rose resides. They are introduced to Randolph, the park's owner, who guides them to the Rose's trailer. Along the way, Randolph shares intriguing tales of Thomas Zane and Barbara Jagger. Once inside Rose's trailer, she offers Wake and Wheeler a cup of coffee laced with sleeping pills, causing them to drift into unconsciousness. Alan is the first to awaken, realizing that Barry's weight makes it impossible to carry him. In a moment of quick thinking, Alan decides to contact Randolph for assistance. As darkness falls, Alan urgently reaches out to Randolph, who, suspicious of Rose's prolonged guests, promptly contacts the police. Little did they know that this call would lead to the arrival of FBI agent Nightingale, who swiftly orders the arrest of the renowned writer. Alan manages to escape, skillfully evading both the pursuing officers and the relentless FBI as he embarks on a treacherous journey towards Batman's radio station. As he cautiously navigates past the wreckage of police cars, Alan's ears catch a chilling broadcast. News that the federal agents have encountered the possessed. On his way to the radio station, Alan encounters a series of bizarre events. Wrecked cars and a downed helicopter litter the path, creating an eerie atmosphere. Undeterred, he bravely faced the possessed beings that crossed his path, using flash grenades he acquired from the police cars. Upon reaching the radio station, Alan turned to Pat for a means of escape, only to be met with disappointment. The station was completely surrounded by both the feds and Nightingale, leaving no room for a quick getaway. Once again, Alan found himself evading the clutches of the FBI, determined to stay one step ahead. Seeking refuge and arming himself, Alan made his way to the fire station. There, amidst the chaos, he stumbles upon a car that would become his ticket to the next destination, the mine. The day of the anticipated meeting with Maud and Alice arrived, but the kidnapper failed to make an appearance once again, leaving Alan frustrated and anxious. In the dead of night, Alan receives a mysterious call, instructing him to head towards Mirror Peak. Without hesitation, the rider ventures into the dense forest, cutting through thorny thickets and passing by forsaken mines and a ghost town. The eerie sight of a miner's cemetery and the ruins of a house only added to the haunting ambience. Finally reaching Mirror Peak, Alan was met with a sight that sent shivers down his spine. Maud, the man he had been searching for, was there, but his groans revealed a sinister truth. He had been deceiving Wake about his wife all along. Before Alan could interrogate him, a dark entity materialized, engulfing Maud in its dark embrace. Driven by a reckless determination, the rider chased after the entity, clutching a lit flare in his hand. However, his pursuit led him to an unexpected turn of events. He was abruptly swept off the high bank and plunged into the depth of Lake Cauldron. As he struggled to make sense of the chaos, a mysterious hand reached out and pulled him into a boat, leaving him with fragmented memories of the harrowing experience. Alan wakes up in a mental hospital, his mind still foggy from the events that led him here. Dr. Hartman, the stern-faced director of the facility, wastes no time in lecturing Alan about his fabricated reality and the tragic demise of his wife. It's a harsh truth that Alan struggles to accept. Emil approaches Alan and urges him to write a manuscript. Intrigued, Alan takes a seat at the typewriter, ready to pour his thoughts onto the blank pages. However, before he can even begin, a sudden seizure grips his body, leaving him disoriented and vulnerable. As Alan regains his composure, he notices that the sky outside has darkened, casting an ominous shadow over the hospital grounds. Dr. Hartman introduces two peculiar individuals, Thor and Auden Anderson, who seem to possess an uncanny understanding of Alan's situation. It becomes clear that they hold the key to unraveling the mysteries that surround him. In a hushed conversation, Thor, Auden, and Alan discuss the enigmatic Thomas Zane, a name that resonates deeply with Alan's troubled mind. The Anderson brothers, residing on a nearby farm, bear a message that could hold the answers Alan desperately seeks. With a mischievous glint in their eyes, Thor and Auden offer Alan a homemade moonshine, promising it will grant him clarity. Just as Alan takes a sip, a thunderstorm erupts, unleashing chaos upon the hospital. The Andersons, fueled by an unknown rage, initiate a riot, striking a nurse with a hammer and berating Jack, Dr. Hartman's assistant, who covers in a closet for safety. Seizing the opportunity amidst the chaos, Alan snatches the keys to Dr. Hartman's office from the unconscious nurse. As he enters the room, he is startled to find Barry, a familiar face and a trusted friend. But there's more to discover. On Emil's desk, Alan stumbles upon the pages of a manuscript, some of which he recognizes as his own, while others are entirely new to him. In the midst of this revelation, Dr. Hartman arrives, his voice dripping with persuasive intent. He implores Alan to create something extraordinary, something that will captivate the world. However, before Alan can respond, the hospital is besieged by a malevolent force known as the Dark Entity, shattering the fragile peace within its walls. Alan Alan traps Hartman in his office, where he falls victim to the insatiable dark entity. In a race against time, Alan navigates through the treacherous labyrinth, eventually reuniting with his loyal companion, Barry. Together, they make their way to the Andersons' farm, only to encounter a disastrous landslide that sent their car hurtling off the road. Miraculously, Alan manages to escape the vehicle just before it plummets, while Barry and the car meet a less fortunate fate. As fate would have it, Barry's path leads him directly to the farm, while Alan finds himself deep within a dense thicket. The friends are abruptly separated, each facing their own set of challenges. Alan stumbles upon a secluded house, where he seizes the opportunity to commandeer a new mode of transportation, the very car he arrived in. With determination in his heart, he speeds towards the farm, hoping to reunite with Barry. Upon reaching the farm, Alan is met with a startling sight. Barry standing on a stage, pursued by a group of possessed individuals. In a moment of sheer luck, a bolt of lightning strikes a nearby lantern, instantly vanquishing the malevolent beings. United once again, Barry and Alan stand their ground, defending the stage with unwavering resolve. Barry, utilizing his skills as a DJ, activates a dazzling display of pyrotechnics, causing the fans to explode and granting them access to the farm. Seeking refuge in the safety of the house, Barry and Alan stumble upon a crucial message that leads them to Cynthia Weaver, a dam worker. However, before embarking on their next mission, they decide to indulge in some moonshine, hoping to find solace in its intoxicating embrace. Surprisingly, the potent liquor clears Alan's mind, allowing long-lost memories to resurface, the missing pieces between Alice's abduction and his awakening in the wreckage of a car. It was a surprising revelation that he was the one who had penned the manuscript. In a twist of fate, the enigmatic Barbara Jagger, embodying the dark entity, offered a chance to rescue Alice. The condition was simple. Alan had to transcribe a manuscript under the dark entity's guidance. As his thoughts became muddled, a glimmer of rationality urged Alan to seek help from Thomas Zane. With Zane's assistance, Wake managed to flee the clutches of the malevolent house, but his sanity wavered, causing him to crash into a fence. And then, as if emerging from a dream, Alan found himself on a tranquil farm, with Agent Nightingale standing by his side. Nightingale swiftly escorted the apprehended Alan and Barry to the police station, where he securely confined them within a dimly lit cell. The hours dragged on as they languished in their confined space, their minds filled with uncertainty and trepidation. Just as the monotony of their imprisonment threatened to consume them, Sarah Breaker and Nightingale himself arrived at the station. The air was thick with a pungent scent of alcohol as the federal agent began to boast, his words slurred and his demeanor unsteady. In the midst of this revelry, a sudden wave of nausea washed over Wake, leaving him weak and disoriented. Acting swiftly, the sheriff extended a helping hand to lift him up, while Nightingale, seizing the opportunity, snatched the gun from its holster. Within seconds, Nightingale produced a page from his bosom, a page that contained a detailed account of the events that had unfolded in the past 5 minutes. It was as if the manuscript itself had foretold their every move, their every action. However, before they could fully comprehend the implication of this revelation, Nightingale was abruptly yanked out of the door by an unseen force, a dark entity that seemed to defy all logic and reason. With the Nightingale gone, Wake turned to the sheriff, urgently explaining that they needed to reach the dam. The sheriff, ever resourceful, suggested that they make their way to a helicopter station at the opposite end of the city. Meanwhile, Barry remained behind, tasked with the important duty of alerting the citizens of the impending danger, urging them to stay indoors and away from harm's reach. Sarah and Alan, determined to secure the keys to the helicopter, embarked on a perilous journey through the city, their footsteps echoing throughout the deserted streets. Their destination was the mayor's office, where the coveted keys awaited their arrival. As they exited the city hall, clutching the keys tightly in their hands, they caught sight of Barry sprinting towards them. However, their relief was short-lived as the bus careened out of control, hurtling towards Barry with terrifying speed. In a stroke of luck, Wheeler managed to evade the oncoming disaster, seeking refuge in a nearby pyrotechnics store. The world around them seemed to teeter on the edge of chaos as their quest for survival grew increasingly perilous. Arriving at the church, Sarah and Alan are taken aback when they spot Barry, adorned with vibrant garlands and lodging an impressive arsenal of rocket launcher charges. The sight is both amusing and bewildering. Undeterred, the trio proceeds towards the helicopter, eager to embark on their next adventure. However, their excitement is short-lived as they discover that the helicopter requires a bit of warming up before they can take off. Sarah and Barry settle into the helicopter, their anticipation growing with each passing moment. Meanwhile, Alan takes up a defensive position on the helipad, ready to fend off any lurking threats until the helicopter is ready for departure. The tension in the air is palpable as Alan stands his ground, protecting their means of escape from the clutches of the possessed. Finally, the helicopter roars to life, its blades slicing through the air with a newfound vigor. With a sense of relief, the trio takes to the skies, leaving behind the chaos and uncertainty that plagued them on the ground. Their destination, the dam. As they approach the dam, Sarah's eyes scan the area for a suitable landing spot, but to her dismay, none is in sight. Faced with a difficult decision, she reluctantly pushes Alan out of the helicopter, hoping that he can find a safe place to land. The helicopter continues its journey, now vulnerable to the perils that await them. Suddenly, a swarm of birds descends upon the helicopter, their sharp beaks and piercing cries threatening to tear it apart. Sarah and Barry desperately try to fend off the relentless attackers, their hearts pounding with fear. The situation seems dire, but they refuse to give in to despair. In the midst of chaos, Alan's mind races, formulating a plan for their survival. He realizes that in order to ensure their safety, he must venture back alone to the lake, where an unfinished manuscript holds the key to their salvation. Determined, he sets foot on the island, his pen poised to confront the dark entity that lurks within the pages. With each stroke of his pen, Alan battles the darkness, weaving a powerful ending to the book that will ultimately set them free. As the words flow from his fingertips, he can feel the weight of his own fate shifting, locked in an alternate dimension while Alice, the protagonist of his story, emerges unscathed. The thrilling episode unfolds as Alan steps into a twisted realm of bright falls, a distorted reflection of reality lurking beneath the depth of Lake Cauldron in the dark hold. With the aid of Zane, Alan navigates this eerie dimension, armed only with trusty mobile phone that serves as his guiding light towards escape. Throughout his perilous journey, Alan stumbles upon a series of television screens, each displaying a deranged version of himself, foretelling ominous events and cautioning him of the dangers that lie ahead. Amidst the chaos, an alternate manifestation of his loyal friend Barry emerges from the depth of Alan's subconsciousness, lending a helping hand in his quest for freedom. Following Zane's signal, Alan finds himself drawn to the enigmatic sawmill, only to be unexpectedly transported back to the familiarity of his city apartment. Confusion intervenes with determination as Zane reappears, revealing a startling truth. Alan himself is the key to his entrampment in the dark abode. Reluctant to accept this revelation, Alan's skepticism is shattered shattered when he once again confronts his demented doppelganger, hell-bent on ending his existence. Through sheer resilience, Alan triumphs over his twisted reflection, awakening in the sanctuary of the lake house, only to realize that his entrampment persists. Trapped within the eerie confines of the dark realm, Alan's consciousness stirs, gradually recollecting his vivid memories of Bright Falls. These recollections flood his mind, transporting him back to the time when he bid farewell to the Cauldron Lake cabin and the Anderson farm. It is in this disorienting state that Zane, a guiding presence, imparts a crucial task upon Alan. He must navigate his way back to the Cauldron Lake house, traversing the treacherous path illuminated by the lighthouse. As Alan embarks on this perilous journey, the very fabric of his surroundings begins to warp and distort, plunging him into a realm of surrealism. Yet, undeterred by the bizarre environment, Alan remains steadfast in his determination to heed Zane's instructions and overcome the obstacles that lie in his path. Zane, however, issues a grave warning to Alan, revealing a startling truth. The Alan within the house is not the true Alan, but rather a puppet controlled by the malevolent dark entity. Even the present Alan, who now stands amidst this fantastical landscape, is merely a figment of his own imagination. To break free from this twisted illusion, Alan must awaken his true self. In a twisted turn of events, a deranged version of the writer emerges, desperate to impede Alan's progress towards the house. This unhinged figure conjures illusions of Alice, extinguishing the guiding light of the beacon, and unleashes the relentless taking upon Alan. Yet, with Zane's unwavering support and guidance, Alan perseveres, resolute in his pursuit of his ultimate goal. Finally, after a grueling journey through the lighthouse, Alan emerges once again in close proximity to the Cauldron Lake house. The path ahead remains uncertain, but with his unwavering determination and the aid of his newfound ally, Alan stands ready to confront the darkness that awaits within. When he finally arrives at the house, Barris's illusion delivers a profound message to him. Alan must relinquish all his illusions before he can unlock the dormant madness within himself. Alan valiantly battles against the illusions conjured by Dr. Hartman, the Anderson brothers, and even his own alter ego. Emerging victorious, Alan triumphantly returns to the house, only to find himself consumed by a gripping paranoia, sprawled on the floor. In a moment of desperation, he reaches out and touches the deranged version of himself, triggering a profound awakening. Alan realizes that he can no longer succumb to delusions and escape the dark abode as easily as Zane had entered it. With newfound determination, he approaches the typewriter, ready to embark on a new literary journey, penning a captivating tale titled The Return. It has been the story of Alan Wake. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe, and I'm going to see you in the next one.